What's up? Hey, everybody. Okay, this is my first Instagram Live, so just be kind to me. I am going to post this later, so I'm going to keep chatting with you. I have invited my friend Lauren to join us. So let me just see if I can grab him here. He comes. Hey. Hi, everyone. Hey, Sarah. Awesome. Thanks you guys for being here with me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jacked up today on coffee, so just bear with me. I'm gonna be chatting with Lauren this morning, and let's see if he. Lauren,
Going on?
where are you? Flip your camera, maybe.
That's probably. Hang on. I was in a call.
No problem.
Let's see. 2 minutes. There it is.
What's up, everyone?
There it is.
There he is. What's up, Lauren?
How's it?
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just told everyone, I don't know if you heard me, but I'm a little over caffeinated this morning. So just bear with me. Here.
It's a little jittery, maybe.
What's that?
A little jittery?
Yeah, a little. I already talk fast and probably talk a little too much, so I'll try not to overtake the conversation today, but thanks for meeting with me. So what I thought we could do, obviously we're in the same coaching program with Dan Martell, and part of our motivation to be here today live with you guys. And but Lauren and I had a chat last week, and super interesting story. You're doing so many amazing things in such a short time, so I thought it'd be really cool to interview you and hear if you can share a bit about kind of what you're doing, and it won't be a long conversation, a little bit of fun here on Friday. So
Sounds awesome. So appreciate having the chance to talk to you and your group, and had a great chat with you last week.
Yeah.
So anything I can do to help anybody, awesome.
Cool.
So.
Well, would you just tell us a little bit? I mean, I know a little bit about your story and what you're doing, and maybe give us a little intro to how you got started and what you're up to now, what that looked like.
Sure. So 2020, I was a ladder climber working corporate America. Decided when COVID hit that I wanted to spend more time with my family long term. And so trying to figure out ways to get into that, decided that real estate was the way to do it. But I had $0. Well, I had $7,000, which in real estate is essentially $0.
Yeah.
So got the mindset that I wasn't going to be able to buy anything until I saved a bunch of money. And then in 2021, May, I was at a bonfire and was kind of talking about my ideas and how I want to make all this money and do real estate. I said, I just don't have money. You just kind of put it off to the side. And my buddy says, if you find the right deal, you'll find the money. And it just like a light switch went off in my head. And so I said, I'm going to buy a deal by the end of the year. Told my wife, she told me I was a crazy person, but just kind of stepped out of the way and let me go. By the end of 2021, I had bought a triplex with seller financing. Then in April of 22, I bought a second triplex using private money. And then over the course of the next 18 months after that, I purchased 65 other properties, 87 doors, raising $6.4 million worth of private money. The amount of returns we've given to our investors over the last couple of years is in the tens of thousands of dollars in just straight up interest payments. We've also started doing some flipping. So I think we flipped 6 properties last year, made about $70,000. We've got 5 flips going underway right now, including a 8-unit apartment building that we're finishing up the next 2 weeks. We found a 10-unit apartment building that we're in the process of renovating, a 6-unit apartment building. And I didn't have enough to do, so I thought, hey, I'm really good at finding money. So I started a lending business. Specifically focused on transactional lending, so double close funding for wholesalers. So we started that in July of last year after some stuff came out in North Carolina. Had a great first 6 months, made $60,000 doing that. And then along the way, we had people coming to us say, hey, do you do gap funding, specifically like big developers? And so we did 2 of those end of last year. And since the beginning of this year, we've loaned out $840,000 for specifically gap loans to large developers and flippers that have equity in other properties that can be used as collateral.
Okay. That was a lot. That was a lot. Now, here's the coolest part, and you didn't mention this. When you have, how many kids do you have? 4?
4
kids. Okay, that's what I thought. 4 kids. And do you do real estate full time? Is this your full-time job?
I still have a W-2. So, yeah, so we have a W-2 still. I have 4 kids. And just for shits and giggles, I also coach my son's baseball team. So
there you go. If you didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
So I guess a time excuse isn't valid in your world to say I don't have time to do something.
No, most people in my experience that have a time excuse have a priority issue. And most people have plenty of time. Like I have the same 24 hours in my day that anybody else does, but most people aren't getting up at 5 in the morning or working until 9 o'clock at night on whether it's family, work, business, stuff like that. They also haven't put the systems in place, and they're doing a lot of things that aren't efficient, right? One of the things that's been really good about me and helped me grow is because I have the W-2 still, I've had to become much more efficient in my systems and processes than somebody that's doing this full time. Like I can't look at email for half an hour. I just can't. And so you build ways to alleviate pain. And if you are directed in the right direction of what you want to achieve, then that basically makes you have more time. And so I hired an admin, I put systems in place. I'm really heavily using automation for a lot of things so that I can go to individual places, find exactly what I need. I can ask my admin to get me things when I need them. And I'm not driving to properties. I have a team in place between contractors and employees that'll do a lot of the things that are just manual, low-tier work that need to be done, but I can't do them because of where I'm at from a geography standpoint or where I'm at from a time standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people who follow me on my page and probably people watching here, they're not even there yet. And some of, I know that can sound overwhelming and you don't do it. You don't just wake up and have all of these things. You've built this. Now you've built it really quickly. So I won't discredit that, but what would you say to folks who are like just trying to get started and most aren't looking at this stage to build their whole empire like you've described? They're kind of just looking to get that one. What would you say to those people? I mean, what was the final kicker for you to like take that leap? Because I think you said you spent about a year researching or kind of thinking about it, which I think is kind of a common transition.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time I would have bought something a lot sooner if my mindset had been different, right? So the words we use and how we think about our life has a massive impact on how our future will be. And so while I was in the mindset of I can't afford to buy a house, I can't fund a property without 20% down, I was in basically a stall where I was learning a ton of things, but you only can learn so many things about running numbers, about a market, and then you get to a wall, and you can't get past that wall until you actually do. Because like I can read bigger podcast forums for 4 days straight and watch all the YouTube videos and do everything, but when I actually buy a rental property, like then the shit hits the fan, and you have to actually do something. And so I think a big thing too is the fear. Like I was massively afraid. It seems silly now, but I was massively afraid of how am I going to find contractors? This was end of 2021. The market was still super hot. There was no contractors anywhere. I was terrified of buying a property and not being able to find contractors to do the work. And what it is you break your fears down into, are they emotional or are they logical? If they're emotional, you kind of set them off to the side. And if they're logical, you put plans in place to figure out how to mitigate them. So with the contractor, I said, okay, I'm afraid of not being able to find a contractor, but I don't really have even a property under contract. And so there's no point in letting that stop me from getting a property. let me make the next step, which the next step is finding a property and then structuring the deal and then finding the money. And you take this like iterative approach to getting through it. And guess what? When I got to the point where I was actually ready to renovate, I figured out how to find contractors, and I figured out how to find contractors that were going to do the project. Now, do you end up paying a little more on your first deal maybe than other ones as you get to scale? Yeah, definitely. But, education costs money, whether you pay a coach, whether you go to college, or whether you learn through failure. Like, there's a cost associated, whether it's money or time or something. And so you just have to be willing to take the risk and move forward, because it's better to make the wrong decision and move forward than to make no decision.
Yeah, like don't look for the right decision, just make a decision and make it right.
That's right.
I think a lot of people get stuck in and there's so much information out there, like so much information. What strategy should I use? Should I do in-state, out-of-state? So much information out there, but it's like we're all just lacking that implementation, and you just got to do it. And you may find out, I talk to people and they're like, oh, I want to have 100 doors. I want to do this. And it's like, you might start investing and you might hit 5 doors and you might be like, I don't want any more. Like, I don't want to do this thing. I want to do something different, or that was too much for me, or whatever. So yeah, I think it's definitely about just kind of ripping the Band-Aid off and gaining the experience. You're going to make mistakes along the way for sure. But that's just part of it. And that's just you can grow, and hopefully your stupid tax isn't very high. I've paid a lot of stupid tax because I am usually just a doer and take action, and then, I learn from it, but that's okay. So,
but that's what you're going to find when you find anybody that's successful, is that they have a very quick to action threshold, right? The amount of information they need in order to take action is very short. The people that don't do anything for a long period of time are the people that they just don't take action. And what I mean take action is, like, taking action isn't buying a house. Taking action is like setting up a Zillow search so that you can run numbers every day.
Yeah.
Taking action is, I know how to run numbers. I'm going to create an Excel calculator so that I don't have to run them manually every day. Taking action is, I'm going to call somebody and ask a question. I'm going to go to that meetup. It's these little tiny steps that over time they build and they build and they build. And if you never take those action steps, you just keep putting it off, like, all you're losing is time, and time is extremely finite.
Yeah, it's the only finite resource, right? Awesome. Well, you covered a lot. You talked about mindset, which I think is the biggest thing. What do you think, and I'll tell you my answer after, what do you think is the number one skill that a new investor should master or focus on right at the beginning? If you could pick one.
There's a lot. I think
You only get one.
I only get one. So then it's going to be being uncomfortable taking action. Like, you've got to flex that muscle. And it really is a muscle. And like any other muscle, the first time you do it, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to feel like you did nothing.
Yeah.
The 1,000th time you do it, the 1,000th time you take a little bit of action or you do something, you're not even going to notice you did it. It's going to be so smooth and seamless that it just comes automatic. And so taking those reps, getting those reps in, is extremely important. And you might not be doing the thing that you're going to do long term. Like, the decisions we make today will teach us things, and they might teach us that we hate this, just like you mentioned before in rentals or whatever, right? But it moves you in a different direction. It changes your mindset. Once you have that entrepreneurial mindset of, the whole world opens up. So I remember I was not an entrepreneur, and then like the day I became an entrepreneur, I was like, oh, I could do billboards. Everything becomes opportunity to make money, right? And then as you get to the next level, it's, how do I identify the right opportunities that are the most beneficial to me? Because if I try to do everything, which I'm kind of a hypocrite on this, I've done too many things. If I try to do everything, like, I'm not going to get as far as if I focus down on them. So take action, and then review those actions and decide how you can adjust to make those actions better in the future, and just keep them repeating. It's going to take time. There's times it sucks, but it's going to take time, but it will work out. Like, just by the people being on this call, these people, all of you, will be wealthy at some point if you are focused on how I can get better every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. And I think, like, when I started too, it was a lot of action, and And it wasn't really until I remained focused and started showing up as a business owner and an entrepreneur that I was really able to grow and scale. So I get that, but it's kind of like you got to just take that next step forward, and the simple actions that you talked about, as simple as a Zillow search. People get overwhelmed and they're like, I don't know how to find a deal, and it's like, well, where's your market? Have you set up a search? Have you downloaded Stephanie's free calculator yet? Because you don't even need to make a spreadsheet. I made it for you. No. Awesome. All right. Well, I didn't want to make this too long. But I did want to see if anybody had some questions. I did pull some while we were talking to see if you could answer, or we could answer. Okay. So first question was, how would you recommend getting started in real estate? So I'll let you go and I'll answer too. We'll both answer.
So the great thing about real estate is, especially when you're new, is everybody is really willing to help, right? So, this kind of interaction is great, but almost every area has some sort of meetup group. And I was blown away. I was talking to one new guy one time, like a couple months ago, and he's like, I don't want to go to the meetup yet because I don't know enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm like, the point of the meetup is to network and to learn. Like, you're missing the whole point. There's no value going there if you know more than everybody else. But like, we started our own meetup in our area because we had to drive into Raleigh and it was just a little bit too far. It wasn't on our specific market. And so we're like, let's create a group of people that are like-minded in our area, focus on our market. And now we get like 30 people every month that come, and all we do is talk about real estate. We bring different speakers in, but there's more often than not, there's a question like, hey, I need an inspector, I need a contractor. I can reach out to anybody in that group, and they've got some networking component, some person or some resource that I wasn't aware of that I can leverage, and they can do the same to me. So making sure you're going to networking events, making sure people know what you're looking for, but not just adding as much value back. Like, what are they looking for? How can you help? And then when that comes up across your desk because you're looking for deals and you can't use it, give it to them and don't ask anything in return. Just say, hey, I saw this, have it. And over time, you will build a reputation as somebody that is a network builder and somebody that everybody wants to be around because you add value to them, either monetarily or just in networking abilities or any other way.
Yeah, for sure. So get in the right room. I think that was like the biggest thing I heard. Get in the right room. I think for me to get started in real estate, it's about taking that action. I think your number one skill is deal analysis, to kind of do what you said. So if you're saying, I don't have any money, well, find a deal, bring it to someone who has money or can show you, even if you're not taking any of the profit, and you can kind of learn the process and add value to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's just making that decision. Pick a strategy, pick a market, and just start taking action towards that. And if you can find the deal, you'll find the money. I mean, that's the thing I say. So it's funny that you said that at the beginning too.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, and your group exactly is a perfect example. People are in your group because they're surrounded by like-minded people. And if they're unsure about how to move forward during those calls, like, they're going to see other people doing things they want to do, which is going to inspire them. They're going to have a resource to get over their fears, and they're going to have a network of people that have been where they are now and can help them out to move the ball forward. Mm-hmm. If you're living on an island and not surrounding yourself by people like that, you're doing yourself a disservice. So get involved in your local groups, get a coach or mentor that's going to help you push. It'll help you grow a lot faster than if you try to do it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Someone was asking about suggestions for buying land for poultry chicken farms. I do not have any recommendations for that, but I would suggest that you find someone who buys land for chicken farms and you can talk to them. That's all I can say about that. And then the next question is, how do you stay informed with current real estate market trends? And Lauren, I'll pass that to you.
Yeah, so there's a number of different ways. You'll learn a lot of information about local stuff through meetups. I have basically every market we operate in, we have a realtor that we work with, and I'll communicate with them on a regular basis just how things are going. But always, like, social media is incredibly powerful. Who you follow is basically a curation of what you want to learn. And so if you're interested in market trends in your area, look for people that talk about real estate market in North Carolina, real estate market in South Carolina. Look for the Data Deli, does a great job from a national standpoint on what the real estate market trends are doing. Look, if you're interested in commercial, follow people like that. Sign up for some newsletters that accomplish some of that. You don't want to get all your information from one source, but I kind of think of it as, who do I want to learn from nationally? Who do I want to learn from statewide? And who do I know locally that I can talk to? And you kind of drill it down, because what's going on nationally is going to be a big picture versus what's going on in your local market.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. One thing I'm going to add, I think those were really good recommendations, is, you know, I think a lot of people don't start because they're like trying to time the market. You know, they're reading these trends, they're reading what might happen later in 2024, all of this stuff. And it's like, you know, just work with the market that you're in right now, because some of the things that people are predicting, regardless of how reliable that source is, it may or may not happen. So I think it's really important to just work the market that you're in now. And if more information comes to light later, then you can adjust or pivot if needed. So
a deal's a deal no matter the market, right?
Right.
Now, a deal is a deal because of the market, but if I'm constantly looking, and if I see a deal today and it cash flows, there's equity there, you know, whatever my criteria is, it works. It doesn't matter what the market is, because let's say I buy a house and I have to put it in at 8.5% interest rate, right? But it's still cash flowing. That's fantastic. That means that in 3 to 4 years, when interest rates come down, or whenever they come down, I refinance it and I'm doing even better, right?
Right.
And so you should be aware of what the market's doing, and it will affect your criteria for buying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you shouldn't buy. It just means you need to buy differently.
For sure. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, we've transitioned a couple times, and you know, focusing heavier on one strategy and then another as the market's done different things. So yeah, that's great advice. Anybody else? I don't know if I haven't seen any other questions pop up. Anybody else have a question? Anybody who's still watching, speak now. And if not, then we're gonna head off. Any other wise words that you want to leave us with? What's your best piece of advice regarding that you have personally received around entrepreneurship and real estate investing?
That's hard. There's a ton of good advice. I think where I'm at right now, the thing that comes to mind is, like, it's all in your head. Like you are the reason for everything, like in your head, right? So
Yeah.
if you're doing really well, you did that. If you're not doing really well, you did that. And it should be incredibly powerful, because it means that you are the controller of your own destiny, and how you think about your life and how you think about what you're doing has an incredible impact on what your future will be. And so making sure that you are in the right mindset and are constantly working towards growth and consistently growing will do far more than any number of deals you can run numbers on, because that mindset will just attract opportunity to you over the course of time.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Awesome, Lauren. Well, you guys, when I post this, I will tag you in it. So if you guys need any double close funding or gap funding, or want to just reach out and connect with Lauren, you can find him there. And of course, you guys know where to find me. But thank you for doing this with me. This was really fun.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to DM me. I get back to everybody.
Cool.
So
love it. All right. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone who tuned in live with us today. And I hope you have an awesome Freedom Friday today.
all right.
Cool.
Happy March.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.